Hello and welcome back to All of the Street Fighters, where we're looking at almost all of the Street Fighters. We've looked at Street Fighter 2, we've looked at Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Now it's time to look at Super Street Fighter 2, the new challenges. This is the third Street Fighter 2 game we've looked at, and it's also the last Street Fighter 2 game we're going to look at for a little while. There are others, there's 7 Street Fighter 2 games, but we're going to move on to new entries because there's only so much Street Fighter 2 even I can handle. Saying that, Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers is a really significant entry in the series, so it's totally worth looking at. The big new addition with Super Street Fighter 2, the clues in the name, is new characters. We've got 4 brand new characters, never been seen in the series before, so that's a really big change. You've got T-Hawk, you've got Fei Long, you've got DJ, and you've got Cammy. 4 brand new characters. So obviously Champion Edition introduced the boss characters, we talked about that last time, Balrog, Vega, Sagat and M. Bison. But they already featured in Street Fighter 2, they were just unplayable bosses. So this is the first time in Street Fighter 2 that new characters were added, which was a big deal at the time. I remember finding it super weird seeing, Cammy and T-Hawk jumping around the stages with Chun-Li and Blanka. It was really odd at the time, but the designs are amazing, they totally fit. And these are characters that have gone on to appear in future entries. They deserve their spots, they were great additions. So the footage you're seeing now is obviously Cammy, one of the first of the new characters. She's like a military agent from England. It's the first UK Street Fighter character. She's got these crazy spinning like barrel kicks where she'll barrel across the screen towards her opponent. Really cool. She's featured in tons of other Street Fighter games. She's in the most recent one, Street Fighter 5. Great character. We've also got footage of T-Hawk, who's the Native American from Mexico. He's very similar to Zangief in that he's a grappler. He'll run up and he'll grab his opponent and he'll swing him around and slam him into the ground. We've got DJ, who's the Jamaican kickboxer, so it's all about kicks. He's got a sonic boom that's very similar to Guile's, but he's mostly big kicks. And then Fei Long, who is definitely Street Fighter's Bruce Lee ripoff. He's the Hong Kong martial arts expert, and he's all about quick punches, as you'd imagine, from a Bruce Lee ripoff. And he's got this amazing flaming kick thing that's similar to Ryu and Ken's Dragon Punch, where he'll just fly up into the air with his legs and set his opponent on fire. Dead good. I loved Fei Long. He was my absolute favourite of the new additions, and I still think he's awesome. So the 4 new characters aren't the only big change to Super Street Fighter 2. I think if they were, we'd still be looking at the entry as an important part of the series history because of the 4 new characters, but there are other really big changes. So Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers was the first game that Capcom ran on their new arcade hardware, the CP System 2. And what that means, in layman's terms, is that they could expand the visuals, add in new audio, and it's just the game's smoother, there's more animation, so many graphics changes, the stages are much more detailed, even the classic stages. So a big example is Chun-Li's stage, the kind of Chinese street scene. In the earlier entries it's kind of daytime, you've got the people killing chickens and whatever. This time it's sunset, there's loads more detail. If you've played a lot of Street Fighter 2 and then you jump to Super Street Fighter 2, it's really noticeable. It may be subtle at just first glance, just watching little videos, but it was a huge change at the time. The character portraits are all brand new. A lot of characters had new audio, so new voices. Ryu and Ken significantly have different voices in this game. Cammy's stage is a big one for visuals. You can see the northern lights in the back of the first stage, and it just looks amazing. So many colours, so much detail. So similar to Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior and Champion Edition, I'm playing the original arcade version in this video, running on MAME. So this is the original version that was released. The game also had really awesome console ports to the Mega Drive, or the Genesis, and the Super Nintendo. So I owned the Mega Drive version as a kid. I paid £55 English for it in 1993. I had it pre-ordered, got it on the day it came out, 55 quid. I had to save it for months. That was a hell of a lot of money. It's still a lot of money now. But, this was an arcade game. This was a game that when I was on holiday, I would just be chucking all my pound coins in. £55 to have Street Fighter 2 to play whenever I wanted, forever. It seemed like a steal. And the console ports are awesome. They're really great. They include everything from the arcade release. I'm sure it's got less frames of animation, and I'm sure it's cut down somewhere. But as a kid playing that, it felt like the arcade version. It was really, really impressive. One of the things it's got from the arcade version is one of the other new features to the series, which is the tournament battle mode. So in the arcade, the owners of the arcade could link up 8 arcade cabinets and set up this big tournament setting, so everyone could choose their characters, and you'd have quarterfinals and semi-finals and get down to the finals. And it was really exciting, because previously you'd just had one-on-one battles. So to be able to set up a whole tournament was awesome, and that made it to the console versions as well. I used to set up tournament battles on the Mega Drive version, and yeah, that's a real significant new feature to the series, because it didn't have lots of different modes before this. Later games brought in trials modes and mission modes and all these survival modes, timed modes, all these new additions, but this was kind of new to Street Fighter 2 at the time. So a year later, Capcom released Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo in the arcades, and although we're not going to look at that next, because I really, really want to move on to new Street Fighter games that aren't Street Fighter 2, it's worth mentioning a few of the changes, because it also had some pretty big additions that stayed with the series going forward. So number one was the very, very first appearance of Akuma, who's, you know, a massive Street Fighter staple now. He's in all the Street Fighter games. He's in the new Tekken game as a guest character. He's as much a big deal to Street Fighter as Ryu is these days. So Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo was the first edition of Akuma as a boss. The other big addition was Super Turbo was also the very first time that the Super Combo meter was added. And we'll see the Super Combo meter in every other Street Fighter game going forward. It's basically another energy bar that's on the screen that builds up, and then when it's full you can pull off a big move which makes the screen all explode, and it's a big deal. So Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo was the first game that introduced that. I would have liked to have done a video on it, but as I say, we've just done 3 Street Fighter 2 videos. It's probably time to move on, but hey, in the future maybe I'll come back and do another little video on that, because it is a significant entry. So thank you again for joining us to take a look at Super Street Fighter 2. If you're enjoying the series, please leave a like on the video to tell me that you're enjoying them, because I'm enjoying making them and I'm hoping that you're enjoying watching them. It's a privilege to be playing through all these Street Fighter games. I'm picking up new things that I've never seen before, I'm learning a lot, and I hope it's enjoyable to watch, because it's a lot of fun to make. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and the next time we'll be looking at a brand new Street Fighter entry, and I can't wait, so I hope you can join me. Alright, bye!